Thank you for staying with us. What's happening in the political world, the upcoming midterm election, the shooting in Pittsburgh, and more? We welcome Michael Benjamin, Associate Editor of the Editorial page of the New York Post.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I'm well. Now, we're going to talk about some of the things that's been happening this past week. Um, in the news, a lot has been happening, a lot has been going on in, the shooting at the synagogue and, both parties' kind of reaction to this shooting. Um, and I just kind of want your take on it first before I jump in.
Well, I would say it was a very bad week for the president. I mean, beginning with the mail bombs to the Democrats across the country, and then culminating with the murder of 11 people because they were Jews by a right wing white nationalist who was, in my view and that of many others, was being egged on by the president's use of the term that he's a nationalist. He's opposed to globalists, which sometimes can be a code word for Jews. And this guy Robert Bowers in Pittsburgh, he was getting a little frustrated the president wasn't doing more. And in one of his last social media posts, he talked about that he was tired of it and he was going to go in. And it turns out he went in and he shot and murdered, 11 Jews who were in temple, at a bris for a baby, and just went in there and murdered folks. And the president, his first initial response was that if they had an armed security guard, they could have stopped the guy. Instead of expressing, sadness that something like this could happen, tragedy like this could happen, he talks about the use of another weapon. He's completely without any empathy.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, how might the reactions from both political parties to these events affect voters going into the midterm elections?
I don't think either party leaders or folks running as candidates should seek to politicize what happened over the weekend. What they should talk about, I think many have been talking about, are the issues that affect Americans. Immediately, they've been talking about such as health care, and on the Republican side, they keep talking about the immigration, the caravan, and the president's desire now to try to end birthright citizenship. We can talk about the climate the president has created with his incendiary words about immigrants from Latin America.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are you still there, Michael?
I'm clear, yeah.
Okay, and I just want to know what implications might that have really for New York City, and particularly the Bronx. Because we are Bronxnet, and we would like to know on kind of like a local level what that might mean.
Well, I think Bronx officials and the city officials have struck the right note in saying, they stand with our Jewish brothers and sisters against anti-Semitism, that they stand with our immigrant residents against the president's call for ending birthright citizenship. He's demonizing people in the caravan down in Mexico. We don't believe that you should be, maybe Bronxites and elected officials don't believe that we need to demonize persons who are migrants and are looking for a better life. It's just another way of doing it, and I think the mayor's been effective in saying that. Borough President Diaz has been effective in saying it.
Mm-hmm.
City Council Speaker Corey Johnson has been good in saying it. I think it's important. I think it's important also. You're hearing Democrats saying there's a need for people to go to the polls. If they oppose what the president has been about, we need to go to the polls and elect a Democratic Congress. Here in the New York Post, we feel a bit different. We think the balance needs to be, representation of both parties in government down in Washington, and there needs to be moderation and a toning down of the language and restoring stability in Washington, D.C., so we can resolve the important problems that face America.
All right, thank you, Michael. And I just want to ask one more question. Do you think that it's fair to attribute any of the violence that we've seen this past week to the rhetoric we've been hearing from the president himself?
Personally, yes. I believe the president is totally responsible for what is transpiring. He uses coded language. Uh, I don't think he's doing it without knowledge. I think he knows exactly what he's saying when he uses terms like nationalist. Says to a rally, "I'm a nationalist," and explains why. Don't protect America, make America first. When he talks about being anti-globalist and being against globalism, he knows what he's saying and what he wants to do to try to rile up his base. When he demonizes immigrants in the caravan by saying they're full of thieves and MS-13 members, they've got tuberculosis, they've got all kinds of diseases. He is dehumanizing them in an effort to try to bring out his base. Say, look, you need me as president, Republicans in the Congress to protect us from the Democrats who want open borders to bring in poisonous people. And I think there are some Americans, very many Americans, I think, who are opposed to his rhetoric and would say that he is totally responsible for what's transpired. I mean, he did not tell Bowers to go into the synagogue and murder 11 Jews. He didn't tell Cecilia Sayok to send mail bombs to prominent Democrats and other critics of him and his administration. But his language and his incivility and his cheering on of incivility, I think has encouraged the lunatics that are out there among his supporters.
All right. Well, thank you for your take again, Michael Benjamin. We're going to go to a break, so we'll be back with more Open.